What's good, y'all? It's your boy Sean P. the Blunt Guy. Hey! And we are back again with another stream. I was about to say reaction stream. I'm used to saying reaction stream, but we are back with another Understanding Hockey Revisited. And today we have our special guest, and that is ELiDZ. Speak to the people, ELiDZ.
Pleasure to be here again. Today I have a limited time, and as a result, we kind of have to switch it up, and it's not going to be Understanding Hockey Part 3, but it's still going to be about, understanding hockey and learning about hockey in different ways, unconventional ways.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, as he said, we will not be continuing understanding hockey part three. Instead, we will be called. We called it audible, right? We pretty much called it audible, and but we still will be talking about hockey and how it pertains to the world of One Piece. Um, but yeah, I don't want to. I know ELiDZ he's pretty busy today, so today I don't want to waste too much time. So let's pretty much get right into this video. But before we get into the video, make sure you hit that like button. Also, subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. And if you are looking for a One Piece community to be a part of, we have the Discord and we have the Facebook group. So yeah. My uncle in the chat with the thumbs up. Shout out to my uncle. We got Angel's Room in the building with the yo. What's good, Angel's Room? We about to get it popping, yo. We about to get popping. So before we get into the video, you kind of want to set the stage, talk about some things, kind of
Yeah.
set the stage, I guess.
Yeah, I got quite a bit to preface before this because we're jumping into the middle of the theory this time. So there's my Red Sea theory, which has actually been reacted to on this channel before. So I'm not going to go over the whole theory. That's not what we're here for. I'm picking a specific portion of the theory because in that theory, I talk a lot about how the environment can affect a person's biology, but also their hockey. Not only that, I also talk a bit about the concept of crossover of colors of hockey, like mixing of these hockey abilities,
Yep.
which is something that has been coming up more of lately within the manga, specifically the Conqueror's coding, which is a mixture of armament and conquerors. Now, what's interesting about my theory is that I say I don't think there's three colors of hockey, but actually seven.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is there could be two different colors of armament. So mixing the color of armament and conquerors is one thing, but what if you mix two different colors of armament?
Yeah.
Then you can make an entirely new armament ability.
Yeah.
So that's just to let you know why we would be even
So
looking at the Red Sea theory when
so
talking about understanding hockey.
so pretty much each hockey, right? Observation, armament, they're not a single color. You know, each
I don't
each
believe so.
each different hockey pretty much consists of different colors, pretty
I
much,
think there's the
or multiple
spectrum,
colors.
seven colors.
Yeah, but you
And
would. Oh, go ahead.
within the spectrum of seven colors, you have three armament. That's the lower three:
Yeah,
root, solar, and sacral. Those are those chakras. Then you have the two conquerors and two observation.
got you. Makes sense. But like, it could be interpreted that each hockey itself is a single color by most people. Is like I'm just saying like that's kind of like the,
Yeah,
the the
that's like the
common way of thinking, I guess.
that's the basic but also canon way of interpreting it. See, my thing is just a theory. It's not something that has been come
Mm,
to fruition in the manga, but I believe that hockey as we know it is just something that it's much more deeper. I think how it is known now is a shell of how it probably was once known in during the ancient kingdom times. They
Okay.
probably had a more wealth of knowledge, more better understanding of this concept of hockey, and they might have looked at it instead of just three types, seven types.
All right, I got you. I got you. So you ready to get into this video?
Yeah, let me just talk a little bit about
Okay.
the
I
theory,
Yeah, I didn't
like
know if
sum
you
up
was.
something, just because we're jumping into the middle of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what the Red Sea theory is, I believe that just like there's a heaven in the sky that is made
Mm-hmm.
up of clouds,
Clouds.
you know, a sea made of clouds, so it's called heaven. You know, not literal heaven like, departed souls becoming angels in the sky,
Like
but they're
afterlife.
people who resemble angels that live in the sky.
Yeah.
Hence why we call it heaven. So my Red Sea theory is that perhaps there's a sea below the Earth's crust, with it, which would be called the mantle, and it's a sea made of magma.
Yeah.
And these are where demons come from.
And then you know they
So
have a
this
guide
is
on
what
in
ties.
Skypiea too.
Mm-hmm.
You said angels, they got a guide too. So maybe they got demons in the like a Satan or something. You know what I mean? Like a
Yep,
devil.
precisely. So we know that the there are demons in the world of One Piece. Well, at least people that look like demons, just like there's people that look like angels. They may not be
Yeah.
literal angels, just like they may not be literal demons. But
Magellan.
clearly, there's something there. But where do this demon race come from? We
Yeah.
know at least that the Skypeans and all them they reside in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Shandorians that were on Earth, we saw that with the pictures on the moon that they originally were from the sky, then they went to the Earth. So we at least know that's where they're from. You think of fishermen, they're from the water.
Yep.
We know these things, but
Yeah,
we
and you
don't
got
know
like
where these demons came from.
and they also have like races. Like they have
Hmm.
confirmed races for most species, like the long leg tribe or the long arm tribe. You know what I'm saying? But we don't get like a explanation of what Magellan species is or Hannibal. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't get
Exactly.
none of that. It just you know. But yeah, go ahead. My bad.
No, that's exactly right. And I think, well, that's why we're even looking at this theory apart from the hockey information. It's just the relevance to the manga right now. With Kaido, we've seen him as a kid. He's always had the horns. So we know that that's just part of his biology.
Mm-hmm. And
And also,
it
yeah.
it it has kind of been confirmed a little bit because they do call Yamato like the Oni princess or the ogre. I
Hmm.
think the ogre princess. So just off of that, you kind of think there is definitely a ogre race. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if the ogres would be related to the Red Sea. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's that in combination, we've also seen more magma
Mm-hmm.
related abilities, which was just perfect timing. When I was making my theory, I was already in the process of making my theory. Next thing I know, I see King using a magma ability, right when I'm like as I'm making my theory.
Yeah,
So it just perfectly aligned,
yeah,
which just makes me further believe that there could be some credence to it.
yeah, yeah. Eh,
So then what I do is I talk about like, oh, how humans can be down there. I talk about biology and evolution, but we're not really here for the science
yeah,
or speculating One Piece history. The reason we're here is because I also talk about how I think the demons are naturally more have an earth-based hockey, which would be armament, um, more specifically Tekai, because what we notice from a lot of specifically Kaido,
CP9.
he's like
Oh,
naturally durable.
yeah, yeah, and Big Mom too, of course.
Yeah, Big Mom,
She
and
like
and
the
we
iron
know from Big
balloon.
Mom, yeah, and we know from Big Mom, it's not even strictly just genetic
Yeah,
because one, her parents aren't
big.
like that, and even her kids
Like
aren't like
normal,
that.
you know.
Like you look at Katakuri, who's her strongest of them all.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Katakuri's just an iron balloon.
No.
It looks like he really trained to be as strong as he is, and
Yeah.
even then, he's not exceptionally durable. Really, what a lot of things he was doing was avoiding damage.
Yeah. 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 Big Mom just an anomaly. Uh.
Yeah.
Uh.
So then I speculate
Or go
that
ahead.
there's a spiritual component to it, which is involves Haki. So that's something I didn't include in the portion because I can just tell you that real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say, well, then there's the Lunarians. Lunarians, I don't believe are naturally tough like Big Mom or Kaido,
Yeah.
even though we know them as a species to be durable. In fact, they're really known to be the most durable. Like, besides the demons, they can live in any harsh environment. That's what they're known for. But I believe that instead of it more being like ingrained in their biology, it's even more so Haki from a spiritual sense because they have the qualities of both the demon due to their circumstances, but they
Yeah.
originally are angels. And the angels, if you look at Skypiea, they specialize in observation Haki, not
Yeah.
armament Haki. So
Y-
clearly, they're more spiritual on the spiritual side of the spectrum rather than the physical.
Yeah.
So with that said, that's where we're brought to in this part of the video.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to say something, right?
Yeah.
Like it kind of like the more I think about it, it kind of makes sense, right? Because when you look at Magellan, right? Like we kind of use Magellan as an example, him and Hannibal, right? Like
Mhm.
because they're two kind of demonish looking characters, right? Like demonic looking
Yeah.
characters. And it's like, is it a coincidence that they will be working at Impel Down of all places? Uh, 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 a structure or a prison that is could be kind of considered hellish, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Impel Down is referred to as hell. It's even a reference to the Divine Comedy where there's the layers of hell.
Yeah.
And it would make sense for them to want to get those people for jailers because if they're from the Red Sea, that means demons are naturally inclined to be able to exist in the harshest environments,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
Lunarians. So it makes sense why they would hire people who are the best at dealing with harsh environments to be the jailers. Because if the prisoners are in their jail and they can't handle the environment, why
Mm-hmm.
would you then expect the jailers to
Yeah,
as well?
exactly.
They would also be just as human. So they probably need the toughest of people to reside in the Impel Down.
And I was even kind of taken in the direction to where maybe Magellan, like let's say if he actually kind of, I mean, I don't know if he actually kind of created the prison of Impel Down, or like if it originated from him or maybe somebody like him, but maybe they kind of got some of their ideas from the Red Sea as well. Like
Mm,
how to torture people. Because if you know
yeah.
what I'm saying, like they could have used some of their what they was around to, they might have known like, okay, normal humans couldn't stay in a place like ours, so why don't we make this prison like our home? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Angel's room said, I can confirm I live in the sky. Hey man, shout out to you, man. That's good for you. He is an angel. He is an angel. He says the ruler of hell is God. Satan, Lucifer is just another prisoner. Um, I don't know. But Adam says, and shout out to Adam. He says, made it. Hope the move is going well. Glad you could still do the stream. Um, I mean, I haven't moved yet. I just this week I'm just kind of in preparations. Like I've had to, you know, get rid of stuff. It's just more preparation stuff, right? And also kind
Hmm.
of saying bye to people that I probably won't see for a while. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of different things I'm doing, but I don't move till next week. But hey, I appreciate it though. I really do. And he says yes, go D Roger. LL could be Augerfish too. I mean, I don't think he's saying go D Roger is Augerfish, but it's two different comments. And he says, uh, Adam also says that's a great take that they are Earth based. I guess talking about the Lunarians. And,
Mm-hmm.
and D. LaJoy Boy said, just remember Magellan's home or horns aren't real. They are
That
just
is
they are just combs to hold his hair in. Not saying he doesn't have other demonic features. I honestly never caught that.
he even like takes them off and uses them to fight.
Oh,
They're like weapons. Yeah.
my bad, Adam.
Um.
He said Goldie Ogre.
Ah.
I guess he's talking about Magellan. I corrected him and said Goldie Roger, but I think he meant to specifically say Goldie Ogre.
I see.
But
I do want to say he said. Well, someone said great take that they're Earth based. I also want to point out that a lot of times when armament hockey, armament hockey, a lot of times gets demon names added to it. Um, if you look at Zoro, even
mm-hmm.
with his Ashura, there's a lot of demon, and he's clearly armament based. You look at Sanji's Diablo Jamba, which I believe a post time skip, or even more specifically, the attack Hell memories, where he's combust in fire, which I speculate fire to be the third form of armament. And a big person is Virgo, who's like he's all about armament hockey, and he's also known as the Demon Bamboo. So I think there's a lot of association between demon and armament,
Yeah,
specifically armament hardening, and also black darkness, hell. There's all of those things kind of associate with each other.
it makes you think. It makes you think. Does black sword or are black swords made, or do they become black by visiting the Red Sea or something?
Uh,
or you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do actually reference Black Blades a little bit in here.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It plays a big role in what I'm gonna say about understanding hockey.
Yeah. Well, let me know when you're ready to start the video. I don't know if you're still setting, if you're still preparing for the video, but I know you got stuff to do, so I don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We only have like 10 minutes of the video to watch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Um,
didn't know. I didn't know how long.
if you want to, because I'm gonna reference it. If you want to put it on the screen, there's a panel when Luffy punches when his Barong gun
Mm-hmm.
actually succeeds and he punches Kaido down. Well, no, this was he actually said something before that. So let me backtrack a little bit. I sent you that picture. It says, "I'll smash you all the way down to the bottom of hell."
Yeah.
And when he said that, something clicked in my head. It's like hell, and he's talking to Kaido, and he's sort of demonic,
Mm-hmm.
and it just made me think of my Red Sea theory. But I just thought maybe that's just a little thing. Then we saw what happened after his punch succeeded,
Uh
and he
huh.
punched Kaido into the ground.
Yeah.
Then I was like,
I was gonna say
okay,
that. I was
there
about to say
might be
that.
something to that. It might be a foreshadow, like an introduction to the Red Sea. So we'll see what happens with that.
And I would think like, what's in Wano, right? Like, what's under Wano, right? Because
Hmm.
Wano itself kind of looked like a volcano or a mountain, right? Because
Yeah,
you gotta go
Mount
up.
Fuji.
Yeah, you gotta go up waterfall in order to enter Wano. So it's already kind of on a mountain of sorts, or even you could say if you just look at the geography of Wano. I'm not even talking about the mountain that's actually in Wano. I'm talking about the country itself, right? Like
Mm.
when you look at the geography of the country of Wano, it looked like the country sits in kind of the valley of a volcano or something. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
maybe like all I'm saying is maybe what's under Wano is like lava. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's
Well, it has
magma.
to be if there's a volcano.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there is the Mount Fuji as well, but I'm just
Yeah,
talking about the country and everything. So it kind of make you think like it might actually boost Kaido. It could
and,
boost
and
Kaido.
another thing about yeah, that's so true. Especially okay, so here's the second thing that's why it's relevant is the fact that he literally showed a form that had him like look like he's has magma all over his body.
Yeah,
Him and King. King was able to make a magma dragon, and now Kaido's showing he's like put magma all over his body.
the
Which
Flame
here's
Dragon
another point.
Torch.
a plot, or not a plot point, a point of my theory that I make, or that's really what part three. There's a part three that's going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is I think dragons came from the Red Sea. You know, the sea has sea kings, right? So what if the
Mm-hmm.
Red Sea has their version of a sea king? And you would imagine that to be like the strongest version of a sea king. So what if
Yeah,
that is where the dragons come from? And Kaido's fruit is the fish fruit after all.
yeah. And what if it came from hell? Like
Yep,
the one dragon,
exactly.
the one that like all the other devil fruits come from like the Adam or Eve tree, except Kaido's devil fruit comes from hell or something. Wow, I'm just kind of
Or devil fruits are connected to the Red Sea. I mean, think of the name. It's literally called devil fruit.
mm-hmm.
So there could be something to that. This is the concept of devil fruits in general.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like you said, it could be connected with like Elbath or something, right? Like maybe
Yep, I put that in the theory.
kind of how Fishman Island is under the Adam tree and under Mary Joa. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
maybe there's something under the Adam, or no, that's under the Eve tree. Maybe there's something under
Mm-hmm.
the Adam tree and
Yep.
it's under Elbath. You know, because I'm starting to think the Adam tree is at Elbath, just based
Yeah.
off of some of the clues we got. Like I think we even see and we get like a shot of Elbath some on one of the chapters, and there is like this big black silhouette that looked like it's like kind of
Mm-hmm.
like a big wall or something big, right? But
Yeah.
it's not like a mountain big, you know, because it goes like vertically up. You know what I mean? So it seems more like it could possibly be a tree. What I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and also kind of what Frankie said when he went to go get the Adam wood, right? The wood
Yeah.
from, he said he got it from a war stricken country or something along that line.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at like war type countries in real life, one thing you look at is like Norse countries, like the Nordic countries, like where all the Vikings were. You know, like Vikings always, they're like very war, like a
Mm-hmm.
race of warriors, right? So
And here's the thing about giants, and it'll tie into what we'll talk about even with this theory.
mm-hmm.
Uh, it actually works out perfectly. I'm kind of just realizing that now, and that's one of the whole reasons I'm doing this, is because it helps me to think of stuff and put it in my Understanding Haki finale. But I speculate that the Adam tree's roots can possibly go all the way down to the Red Sea.
Yeah.
Anybody out there that hasn't checked out that theory, that's definitely one of my best. So even though we're talking about it on this stream, this is only a little portion of the Haki. But the two thing about, there's two species I think that would be based off Earth-based Haki, and that would be the demons and giants. Giants in almost any culture or reference, or you look at all the different animes, they're usually Earth based. I mean, just even look at Attack on Titan, like they can
Seven Deadly
literally
Sins.
coat themselves in crystal, and or yeah,
Oh
Seven
yeah.
Deadly Sins is a perfect example. Like giants typically have
Yeah.
are Earth based, so
Yeah, I forget her name.
giants and demons could both be Earth based. In fact, there's giant demons. Like the demons have their specific. There's
Yeah.
like a specific type of giant species that could also be demons. So there's a crossover there.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Let
yeah, I
me
think there's definitely something to that.
let me ask you something.
Mhm.
Okay, like ogres, would you say ogres are part of the demon, like the demons, like maybe from
Well,
like the, go ahead.
would I speculate? I mean,
Yeah,
any speculation of a demon race in One Piece is a speculation. I mean, any
yeah, yeah.
saying anybody's a demon is speculation because it's not confirmed. But if there is a demon race, then for sure they would be considered demons. I mean, they look more demonic than even Kaido if
Mm-hmm.
you look at the way they are.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's kind of like, because the reason why I asked, because we kind of like, because I believe Kaido is part of the he's an ogre, right? I believe he's. I mean, I think most people think he's an ogre, but I think he's from an actual race of ogres. I don't know if he's from like the same ogre race as like Oars and Oars Junior, because they look a little different. But aside
mhm.
from the horns, they don't look like they are from the same race or anything. So maybe Kaido, I'm
Yeah.
looking at, maybe he could be like a mix. Maybe he's like a mixed breed or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I
only in a
think there's
yogurt.
definitely different demons. I mean, look at Moria. He looks a lot different. He looks like
Yeah.
more like a Western type of demon than Kaido and Oris, who look more like Japanese demons.
And the reason why I asked, because I wanted to ask you, do you believe that Kaido is, because we know that when we see the little flashback, right? When we seen the
Hmm.
flashback, he's from the Vaka Kingdom, you know,
Yeah.
and at least as far as we know. But he was also, I think, like 10 at the or 15 at the time. So somewhere
Hmm.
where he was pretty young. But like my question, like I'm not saying I don't know if you would. I guess it is kind of a question of a speculation. Do you
Yeah.
believe he's from the Vaka Kingdom, or maybe he just kind of somehow ended up there? Like maybe he's from hell and he ended up in the Vaka
Um,
Kingdom. You know,
he may not even be from the Red Sea. He may just have, uh, his ancestors
like
could be
lineage.
from the
Yeah,
Red Sea,
yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe even just his parent. It could only be like one degree back. Just his
Mm,
parents are from the Red Sea, or his grandparents, whatever. Um, and he was just born on the Vodka Kingdom. Um, I doubt he was sold to them through some kind of slavery, because if that was the case, he probably would have just sold straight to the world government,
yeah.
not to the Vodka Kingdom. Um, unless it was just some like small business slavery, like
I mean, he
that didn't
seemed
have
pretty
access to the
free.
world government.
He seemed free when we seen him. It didn't seem
Yeah,
like he was like
yeah.
under any type of bondage or anything. You know.
But it could be something like where almost like he wasn't in touch with his lineage. He wasn't in touch with his culture. He had to
Mm,
maybe go find his roots, and in doing so, maybe he came across ancient knowledge, and maybe that could have been something that got him interested in Joy Boy and things like that.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
like searching out his own roots.
yeah. Adam says, for me, one of the biggest hidden Earth elements is mud, water, and earth, and I think fits those ideas. I think that's what might make the different types to start. Then he says cryptids. Trying to think what cryptids are. It sound like type of animal that what's a cryptid? Is that like somebody that? Because I know like it sound kind of like a yeah. I'm not too sure. They says you should try comparing Moria to a red termite. They even have the same little red horns. Uh, Let me look up what cryptid is because I'm not too sure what that is.
In the meantime, I want to mention another thing that's sort of relevant to that is
Yeah,
from the manga that shows some relevance to my Red Sea theory. Another point I was trying to make in my Red Sea theory is that perhaps the One Piece is found on the Red Sea. The One Piece isn't on the Blue Sea. It isn't on any island you can find just by sailing around.
yeah.
In fact, that could make more sense as to why nobody can just randomly find the One Piece, because it's not on the surface level. You have to go down to
Mm,
find it. I feel like if the One Piece is somewhere, it would be up or down. I can't imagine that it's on the Blue Sea, because anybody could just happen to come across it then,
yeah,
just on random.
yeah.
Um,
And that's one thing I've always, that's one reason why one of my favorite theories when it comes to where the One Piece is the the one I heard from Arthur. I think it was Arthur O'Hara, Library of O'Hara, or not. I think it was just O'Hara, where he says something about the in this lobby, right? Because we
mhm.
know it's like, because I mean originally he said it was part of Jaya, right? Because
Yeah,
it's a left eye that was missing in Jaya.
yeah,
Like if you look at the map of Jaya, like the original map, it looked like a skull, right? But the left eye is
hmm,
missing. So and then there's plenty of clues where like you see like cover stories or cover artwork where you got Luffy covering his left eye and all that. And
yeah.
it's a lot of symbolism with Luffy covering his left eye. Like if you just look at that, you'll probably find like a lot of symbolic stuff, right? But
Hmm.
um, but yeah, so we know in Skypiea or we know in Jaya that part of Jaya was shot into the sky, but
Hmm.
maybe the left eye where that was sucked into the sea, you know,
Yeah.
and that's how you get in this lobby. Now they're in two separate locations, so I don't know how that works out.
Yeah,
But
that kind of kind of weird.
but yeah.
But yeah, if it were to go down, right? If we know one thing went up and it ended up not just randomly in the sky, but in on the White Sea in a place called Heaven. If it were to go down, I don't think it would just be in some random place, but rather on another sea, the Red Sea, which would be called Hell. So why I even bring this up is because Big Mom, when she got defeated, she also got sent downwards. And as she was
Yeah.
getting sent downwards, she was like saying, you know, what's so special about this? Well, when she was like, what is the One Piece? Why didn't you tell me? And then she was like, why is so special about this country? Like, what secrets are lying? As she was sent down into the earth. And when I saw that, that also clicked with me. It was like,
You
you
think
know, is
she's
that
gonna learn
foreshadow?
some
You're
secrets?
telling us that it's downwards.
Yeah, you think they going her and Kaido might learn some secrets under Wano?
Possibly.
Hey, that
Either
that
that or it's just foreshadowing. Like, you know, her saying that is foreshadowing, and Luffy
mm,
saying, "I'm gonna strike you down to hell." You know, in that moment, he might not have hit him into the Red Sea, but just him saying that alone is like foreshadow. So, like when we do see the Red Sea, we can look back at that moment and go, "Oh, so that was sort of in a way him saying that without knowing it."
yeah, and you know something. I mean, this is kind of a little off topic. We I don't think we ever the location of the road poneglyph in Wano has ever been established. You know,
Yeah.
so we know there's a poneglyph in Onigashima, like you know
Mm-hmm.
where Law found, right? But it wasn't a road poneglyph. But maybe it could be under Wano. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Kaido doesn't even know what a road poneglyph is, and it's under Wano because we know that the Koski clan used to make poneglyphs, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they use power blowing and like I guess what I mean, it seemed like they was making these poneglyphs within like a hot area, right? So
Yeah.
you know maybe they were creating these poneglyphs under Wano, and maybe they left one of the road poneglyphs there or something. But
Mm.
yeah. Adam says so. A cryptid in zoology is the study of mythical existence, can't be proven either way. Animals. Yeah, I looked it up. It was something about like I think like animals like the Loch Ness monster and stuff. Uh, Something along that line, like a lot of mysterious animals. And then he says like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness monster. Yeah, exactly. Also stuff like unicorns, and then he says, but that's like a real zoology Guinness or melt together into a fusion. Yeah, yes sir. But yeah, man. Yeah, you ready to get into the
Oh,
video
yeah.
or what's?
Yep. I'll read what it says on the screen because it might flash by. If the Lunarians are more proficient in spiritual than the physical, the reason I would say that is early in theory, I say the angel races are clearly more spiritual because of observation. So then I say, then how can they use a spiritual energy and wisdom to compensate where they lack physically? So,
Yeah.
uh, spiritual energy and wisdom, that's something that I haven't really gone into a lot in my understanding hockey, but it does play a big role. I'm definitely gonna, when I remake it, talk more about that. So spiritual energy is like that's. Remember, I showed you that chart. It
Mm-hmm.
said body, mind, and spirit. So
Yeah.
spiritual energy is spirit, but then wisdom is mind because there's mental and spiritual. So spiritual is more like conquerors, and wisdom is more like observation. So how, if they're better on a more spiritual spectrum, do they become this species known as basically the most durable? So I say figuring that out will solve how King's powers work the way they do. So the two things are connected, which is something Zoro was saying. Like as he was fighting King, he's just thinking to himself, I have to figure out how his powers work if I have to defeat him.
Yeah.
I got to figure out why is it he has flames, but he's also durable. Why, when his flame goes away, he's all of a sudden not as durable, but also faster. So it's all connected. And the fact that fire is connected to his durability just gives credence to my understanding hockey theory because I believe fire is the third form of armament.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's enough preface. We can actually start the video.
All right, let's go.
Imagine how exhausting it would be to have active armament hockey 24/7 for the rest of your life. That's why I think they went beyond the demon's inherent armament hockey and learned how to add layers of armament. The inherent armament that demons use is like that of Tekai. It makes a person more durable through the use of physical strength. Then you have armament that uses black coating. The black coating represents the spiritual energy being used to strengthen and make a person more durable. I believe the Lunarians somehow learned how to use both at the same time. Combining the two may seem redundant, but is necessary because the extra durability requires more heat resistance. This isn't an entirely new concept. Recently, Sanji got an inherently tough body, like a demon, but he then added his armament hockey to give himself more. I just want to take a second to talk about Sanji and the Vinsmokes. So one of the things they talk about with how the Vinsmokes got their abilities is they you can clearly see in the manga panel it shows a bunch of animals and their bloodline elements were clearly altered. So it's showing this for some reason animals experimented on with humans brings about these powers,
Yeah.
and that's sort of I think has something to do with my theory that the environment can affect hockey. So remember how you brought up Elbath, the giants, and the Atom Tree, and I
Yeah.
was talking about the Red Sea and demons. Well, if the Atom Tree goes all the way down, the roots goes all the way down into the Red Sea, but the rest of its body is up on Elbath.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we breathe air, and what we talked about in last week's video is we talked about the heart chakra and how air is chi.
Yeah.
So it's like it's twofold. There's the physical air, and then there's the spiritual air, and in physical and the spiritual is two sides of the same coins. So perhaps the air they breathe, the breath of all things around them, can have an effect on their hockey development to the point it could even affect their biology.
Yeah.
So if the Atom Tree is on Elbath, and like I said, the demons are kind of earth based. Well, if they're breathing in air from the Atom Tree, which is connected to might speculate it's connected to the Red Sea.
Mm-hmm.
We know for a fact it's the most durable wood, which is very earth based, armament hockey like. Maybe that is then affecting the inhabitants on Elbath. So perhaps these special creatures on One Piece, in the world of One Piece, giants, fishmen, and the like, Third Eye, they're actually the results of their biology being affected by their environment. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
what evolution is. But because they're in a world where there's not just ki like the regular world, but they have haki. They have a supernatural version of this. So
Yeah.
because of that, their evolution can go beyond what is realistic and
Yeah.
into the realm of supernatural.
Yeah. It kind of like looking at this panel. It kind of makes me think that Judge been trying like studying or researching like zone devil fruits.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's why he was using animals because he was trying to create the closest thing to a zone user without it actually being a devil fruit user. You know, with the weaknesses, because that's the one flaw with devil fruit users. They got that weakness, but if you could get rid of that flaw, that could be what the SSG is personally. Like maybe Judge's study or his research is kind of like a less perfected SSG or something.
Mm. Yeah, I can see that. Especially the study of trying to recreate devil fruit powers, I think, are something that um, I think Judge and really all three, Judge, Caesar, and Vegapunk, but Vegapunk is obviously the best one at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another thing that I'll just say real quickly, but eventually I'll go more in depth in my videos. But I just want to throw out there that I've seen people in both response to my theory, but also just in general. There's a consensus that Sanji gets his powers because of the experimentation, and this became even more apparent to people when Queen called out Sanji and said, you know, why are you like a Lunarian? So then people went, oh, he was experimented on with Lunarian DNA, which is
Mm.
why he used fire. I
Oh, that.
counter that. I think that it's his hockey. I think it's really his own efforts, his own spiritual efforts rather than scientific, because he's anti his family, he's anti his dad.
Mm.
I don't think he would want his signature ability to be because of them.
You
It
don't.
would mean more Sanji to be his own efforts.
You don't think it could have been the case of maybe like a latent ability he always had, but maybe he didn't realize it, and then when he came across it, he just might have thought it was all him. Like you don't.
And so that's possible. One, I personally would not like that for Sanji's character. I want him to have his own. I think it's great for his character to be like, look, I was able to surpass not just his brothers, but more importantly, he was able to surpass his dad, not in strength. I mean,
Yeah.
surpassing his dad in strength is not a big deal because all his siblings surpassed him in strength.
Mm.
The fact that he surpassed him in this effort of gaining strength, of becoming strong,
Yeah.
he surpassed the science factor. Whatever Judge was trying to do, Sanji was able to do better on his own merits. But even beyond that, I actually have actual reason from the manga. I don't believe that it would be the Lunarian DNA, and it would be from the Vinsmoke tampering in general. Um, One reason is Lunarians. We only know of one sole survivor, and that's King.
Mm-hmm.
So, not to say that it's completely impossible, completely out of the realm possibility, but it's very, very, very unlikely that Judge got King's
DNA.
DNA.
Yeah. Or
And
just
two,
any.
yeah, because what we know of the Vinsmoke project, it didn't seem like it was world government funded. Yes, Judge worked with Vegapunk at one point, but it doesn't seem like the world government had anything to do with the Vinsmokes being created.
Well, I think when they worked together, it was like they were like rogue scientists,
Yeah,
like the
so
whole
even that's
Mads
even makes
thing.
it even less likely that
Yeah.
it was King. So the second reason is, ironically, Queen, who made it people believe it more, is the person who really uh, disproves that. And here's why: we know that all the Vinsmoke abilities are sort of tied to their epithet. So we have blue for each, Niji, and red, sparking red. You know, the one's electric blue, winch green. We know their abilities are tied to their identities. They're
Mm-hmm.
almost like kind of like superhero like identity. And Sanji is called Stealth Black, right? So it seemed he was intended to be this Stealth Black,
Yeah.
right? Now you could even argue that that was intended after he left. You can say, well, he's meant to be invisible um, because he's not there, right? That's how they made it in the comic. Regardless of whether he was meant to be Stealth Black before or after he left, it doesn't matter, and here's why. Because Queen showed us that he was able to copy Judge's science. So that means he was aware of whatever Judge had planned, and he copied it. He copied Ichiji, Niji, Yonji, and he even copied Stealth Black. So that means he already had copied whatever was intended for Sanji.
Yeah.
But he did not show the fire abilities. And in fact, he didn't know why Sanji could do it. So he knew what Judge did. He knew Judge's science. And he did not know why Sanji could use fire.
Yeah, and when you think about it, Queen is probably the only scientists in the series with access to Lunarian DNA. So
Exactly. So
he could go right to the
anybody could
source.
recreate it.
Yeah, he
It would
could.
literally be Quinn.
Yeah, he
So
could.
I just I literally just thought of this today. I was like, that completely disproves it. Like I always didn't believe it,
Yeah,
just because it just didn't make sense to me. But then I thought about it, like that's actual proof that it's not that.
yeah. I didn't know it was that big a thing, honestly. But Adam says about the video they had forging mines up in Skypea. The only way that's possible is that there was fire inside at least part of the clouds, but just something hot in the air and the sun. Um, in the Angels Room says Sanji being a Lunarian been big since Queen, and then Adam says so Sanji backwards sang Guinness or
I see what he's
Sang
doing there.
Sanji.
Sanji is kind of like Genus.
Oh, I see what it is.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be Ijnas? Ijnas. I mean, I guess if you pronounce the J with a G, I guess. But yeah, that's all I got for the chat. I just wanted to catch up on it real quick. If you ready?
Yep. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out with even though that's not what I was talking about in the video. Really, the video is not the talking point. It's just talking about hockey in general. So I'm gonna let it continue now.
Is yours playing? Bless you. Mine's not playing.
Require many years of physical training. And secondly, the angels have an affinity towards spiritual, not the physical. They would need some way to apply all that spiritual power to their physical body in a consistent and possibly even permanent way. If it involves converting the spiritual into physical, then it must involve black coding. It usually require many years of physical training. And secondly, the angels have an affinity towards spiritual, not the physical. They would need some way to apply all that spiritual power to their physical body in a consistent and possibly even permanent way. If it involves converting the spiritual into physical, then it must involve black coding, and there is an example of permanent black coding in the story. Do you remember when Zoro used Shisui to cut Monet? We know that Shisui is a blade turned black by Haki, yet didn't physically cut a Logia like Monet. This is something I talk about in part 1, in which I state that I believe the method used to turn blades black originates from the Lunarians. The Lunarians made it so that the spiritual energy used to coat themselves black was stored inside them so that they don't have to constantly exert themselves. So there's two things I want to talk about in reference to what I just brought up in my Red Sea theory. First off is this whole concept of black blades, and I don't just mean Shisui and like Yoru, Mihawk blade. I just mean like the fact that you could use armor coating to make blades black, like we've seen, Odin and Zoro do. So I think that the ability to make a blade black is actually two different colors of armament being used together. Now, because we know of the just color of armament is just one, was what we know now. The three is just one. That's why we would only consider it just one color. But when you break it down into three different colors of armament, red, orange, and yellow, the root, sacral, and solar plexus, it actually would fall under two categories. Root, because you're making the blade harder, obviously, with the coating. But the reason it would fall under the orange, the sacral, the water element, is because
sacral.
Yeah, sacral is about connecting to people and even things, as well as the flow of energy. So when you take that into consideration, that also falls into play in the sword, because not only are they making the sword harder is one thing, but if it was just root chakra, really they'd be toughening up their own arm.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's flowing into the sword, they're using that application of armament as well. And when you think about it, that's why people in Wano, who just so happen to be samurais, are the best at that.
Yeah,
That's
Rio.
why Rio is called flowing Sakura, because that's the way they use armament. They're really not as concerned with making the body tough. They're really more concerned with the flow of energy, because as tough as their body is, if their sword is lame, it doesn't really matter as a samurai.
Yeah.
So, oh, before I go on, do you want to make a comment?
Yeah. I guess on the topic of black blades, because it really had me thinking. Right.
Mhm.
A black blade. It does it. Or, would you say that a black blade, like base level black blade, right, like Yoru or Shishui, would you say that they have, I guess, permanent hockey properties? You know what I'm saying? Like, if
No.
you said no,
Yes and no. If you're thinking like it'll just work the same way as any black blade, let's say when Zoro sliced Pika when he was in his like mountain form,
yeah,
right? And he coated all his swords in black and he cut them. Is it gonna work like that? I don't think so. Like any black blade would be like that, because that is him actively using hockey. In fact, I actually kind of talk about that in as the theory proceed, but I came up with this term retro hockey. That's what
yeah,
I think black blades are. Retro hockey just means that it's hockey from the past. It's hockey that's been stored up and can be used in the present.
yeah.
An easy example from the manga that clearly shows black blades don't operate like normal active hockey is the fact that Zoro cut Monet with Shishui.
That's exactly where I was going. That's why I was going to bring it up, because that's why I asked that question. It's specifically for that, because I know we was talking about it last Sunday. We had a
Mm-hmm.
thing, and somebody brought up how Zoro was able to cut Monet without the use of hockey, and just this conversation, I was thinking about that topic, and I think you kind of brought it up as well. And I was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
was Zoro, like, Zoro may not have been using hockey on Monet, but maybe the sword itself, with some, I don't know, because he cut her with Shishui, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I was thinking. I'm like, maybe it was the blade that did what it did to Monet, and because there's a lot of theories about what happened with Monet, but maybe it was had more to do with the blade. That's what I was thinking.
Yep.
You know.
So I'm not gonna really go into exactly what happened to Monet. Not that I don't have theory. I definitely have theory.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank, I think it has to do with Conqueror's hockey and the damage of the soul. In fact, we might talk about it a little bit later if we have time. But as a, as far as the blades is concerned, this really makes sense in the context of my theory. The fact that it's layered, there's different applications of armament. So I think that the whole coating is an earth element based thing. It is root chakra.
Yeah.
But the ability to damage devil fruits, I believe, comes from the second layer, the water element of the sacral. And because it's purely black blade is just root, is just that earth base, it doesn't have that ability, that application of armament to bypass the Logia durability.
Okay. Uh,
Um, yeah,
well, I was just going to read the chat. I thought you was at a pause point, so I was going to read the chat real quick. Adam says it is that LOL. It's the biggest clue for a new type of human. The next step, so to say. You guys talking about Sanji, I think. But yeah, that's all I had. I'm caught up on the chat.
okay. He does say use fear, maybe for Monet, like a growl, which is sort of kind of like what I'm saying with the Conqueror's Haki. Because if you remember last week, I said it's like a spiritual war, and then I used that clip from the Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Adam, we're on the same wavelength with that whole. Even if it was fear, it even falls in line with my chakra theory.
Yeah.
Um, he said I'm not trying to disagree with the theory of vid, even in the clouds in the air. the fire would still be eternal. Um, the power of love. I'm with my Red Sea theory. I've been thinking about clouds. I do reference what kind of clouds would be on the Red Sea, and I'm trying to think like how where flame clouds could possibly factor in with the Red Sea.
Well, like what Kaido
But yeah, I
makes.
just wanted to. Yeah, that with the dragons, and if the dragons are connected to the Red Sea, in fact I call the water in the Red Sea. It's not magma, just like the clouds in Skypiea aren't actual clouds; they're special kind of clouds. So I called the magma sea. I gave it a term pyro water, which basically just means it means like fire water. And flame clouds, it's just called flame clouds. Like it's cloud flame, and then there's fire. So maybe fire water and makes flame clouds or something like that. I don't know. I'm workshopping it. Anyway, I just want to bring that up. So
It's all good.
the whole concept of the sword being both an application of root and sacral is a big reason of why I wanted to watch this video as a part of this Understanding Haki retrospect. This thought of mixing Haki abilities and what can happen from it. So I think the root to sacral is a very basic version of what that looks like. It's simply just passing on this energy from the body to something else, to making it an extension of one's body. That's what's basic version of it with the sword. I think a more advanced version of it, if you were to someone to become like a Haki master, would look like Devil Fruit Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Because my whole theory is culminating to the mastery of Haki creates devil fruits. And I don't think it's simply just, oh, you master Haki, now you can use a devil fruit. Mastery isn't just unlocking all these abilities, these colors of Haki, but then what you do with that. If you have all these colors, what kind of artwork do you make with all of these colors? The artwork is the devil fruit. So
Yeah.
you mix, it's like when I say mix, it is in my head, it isn't even simply just mixing. Like you mix blue and red, you get purple. It's more like you what do you make when you put these colors together? So it
Like
could be,
ability wise, you mean?
hmm?
Ability wise, what do you make?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and
So
that's
you
why.
have sorry.
That's I was gonna say that's why I'm curious to see like Shanks and Mihawk because I feel as though they probably have
Exactly.
some unique hockey moves.
Right. So you have blue and purple. Put them
Yeah.
together. I'm sorry, blue and red. You can make purple, but you put blue and red together, and you can make Superman's costume. So you got to think not just literal but abstract as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this whole concept of mixing or combining hockey abilities is what I believe becomes Devil Fruit abilities. And if you want to show that picture of Kaido talking about Luffy's abilities, talking about mixing conquerors and armament together, and it's like the freest form, freewheeling ability. That I think is a clue because what we know what Luffy is doing in the moment is Devil Fruit Awakening. Yet somehow he just awakened his Devil Fruit, and now all of a sudden you see Kaido commenting on his hockey ability. So that's just another clue that there's a crossover. They're really one and the same. They have to do with one another.
I forget which pick it was.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I forget. Oh, it's the one where his thing is sprinting, his arm.
yeah. His hands are spinning. So that's one of the things I believe what hockey how hockey transitioned into a Devil Fruit like ability. It's these combination of the colors of hockey.
So he said you use the colors of armament in the Supreme King and can transfer his powers to other things. I've never seen such free will in combat before. That's what you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about, right? When he
Yeah.
asked him about he turning white.
Mm-hmm. He puts all of them together in one group, like all of this. when I look at that, it leads me to believe that they're connected. They're not separate things. The fact that he can transfer his thing and that he has conquerors and armament working together, like it's not separate. And he's white now, and white is basically like the opposite of black, right?
Yep.
Not right or like it literally is. Um, what implication could him being white have? Well, we know that if you're coded in black, that's armament. It's the most physical version of armament. It's the lowest frequency. So maybe white, because Conquerors is the most spiritual, because it's really the highest frequency, and he's mixing it with his armament. It's a version of armament that is on a high frequency that does like spiritual
Mm-hmm.
damage. And this is something we're gonna talk more about when we look at Understanding Haki Part 3, Part 2. Look at that second half
Part
of
2 or part 3.
Understanding Haki Part 3. Because I'm going to talk more about Conqueror's Haki, and there's something I bring up where it's, if you remember, Luffy couldn't damage Prometheus, but he has Armament Haki. And we know Armor Haki can damage Logias. You know, it's like Armor Haki deals with Devil Fruit ability. So how come Armor Haki can't hurt Prometheus even though he's a thing made by a Devil Fruit power?
Because
Like it didn't make sense. I feel
he's
like
more of a
before that
spiritual
moment,
thing.
exactly. Before that moment, most people, based about anybody, would have thought, "Oh, all you need is Armor Haki, you can hurt Prometheus." But then Oda shows us, no, that's not true. That's not the case, and that just goes to show that not all hockey is on the same frequency. It's not on the same level. Even with Armament being spiritual in nature, because you use Rio, because there's clearly an aura around the body, it's still not the same as Conquerors.
I would say that
So
the only people who was able to harm or affect Prometheus is the two most spiritual characters on the crew, and that's Zoro and Brook.
yeah, I think with Zoro, I would like to see get a confirmation of like, did it hurt Prometheus or did it just affect the fire? Because Jinbei was also able to affect Prometheus with water,
Mm-hmm.
and I I refuse to believe that nobody in the history of One Piece ever hurt Prometheus with water except Jinbei. Like no one ever thought, oh, just leave water. Like I think to Prometheus, his fire getting affected isn't the same thing as he himself getting hurt
Yeah,
because he
yeah.
isn't the fire. He's the
Like
soul in having fire.
like Brook was actually able to like cause harm to Prometheus. Like we
Yeah.
seen Prometheus with bandages or bruises or something. It's like, how does this little fire cloud have band-aids? How does this little fire cloud have band-aids and stuff
Yeah.
on? Like the band-aids don't burn. Adam says, um, man, he done said a lot of stuff from last time. I'm trying to see where it starts. The next step.
It's the he says, oh
I think it's, and I'm not trying
it's
to
the,
disagree.
I am totally agreeing with the hockey. It has to be able to work with multiple levels of understanding slash perception is my only thing.
Yeah. And then he says, even void. Oh, I love the pyro water. And then he says, I will message you about, okay. How could they ever be natural at one time with the mastery like be an actual fruit? And he says, I think the mastery part might be the aspect of devil fruits are why that are why they aren't born from trees and the spirits go back into dead fruits. And then he says, instead of back into trees, light, etc., what if with everything combined is maybe a code that once all connected, it's a philosopher's stone of transformation. Literal with revolution, symbolic with everything.
Yeah, so it being like a code, um, that kind of can show why there could be a crossover between science and spirituality. Why scientists can recreate devil fruit powers because DNA itself is like a code. There's this concept of spirituality called source. It's basically all things.
Yeah.
That's like the best description you can give in reference to Haki is that source is all things. When there's the voice of all things, breath of all things, it's referring to source. It's referring to this concept that everything truly is just one, but we're all having an individual experience in this one thing that we all are together.
Yeah.
So if there's a code to be deciphered, even if you don't have Haki, even if you don't understand Haki from a spiritual level, if you could look at the DNA, you could understand how is it these creatures evolved to be this way, which could then lead to you understanding Haki from a spiritual perspective. Oh, sorry, from a scientific perspective.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Okay.
All right.
I'll let this play. In the same way that black blades can remain coated in arm and Haki, despite not having the energy imbued in them, I believe that Lunarians learn how to apply Haki to themselves without actually having to presently imbue themselves with armament. Basically, I'm saying that they converted the spiritual energy into tangible physical durability. Think of it as stockpiling their energy over time so that they can use it in the future. They then designated where this stockpile of energy goes. That would be their wings. That's how they're able to layer the armor. Just as Ryoma was able to create permanent physical change to Shisui, Lunarians learned to do the same to their bodies, and most specifically their... So, this concept of retro Haki, in a simple way, it's easy to just think of it with the black blade. It's just Haki put into a blade, and now it's just like there permanently. But it may not just be black blade. It could be cursed swords too, because we know that there's some will in there, which I think to be conquers Haki, which is more soulful, more like a consciousness than a power that like armament is. I put in here, I predicted that retro Haki isn't just for armament. Retro conquers Haki in the poemers could be why the voices are heard in them.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the Klabaterman, that's like a soul inside of a ship. So there could be different applications. Maybe there's a way of even having a retro observation. Like if you put observation into something, it can give somebody visions of the past or visions of what's to come. Like there's so many possibilities for this concept. Yeah. But I think the one that's most important is if dough fruits are made from Haki users of the past, then that is retro Haki. And if I'm also proposing that retro Haki or that black blades were inspired by Lunarians, then perhaps Lunarians play a big role in how double fruits are made.
Okay, that's interesting. Like Lunarians.
I mean,
now go ahead.
I was gonna say if Lunarians were once in the sky, but then somehow were put in a position where they were sent to hell, or even had to move or retreat to hell, because I don't know why anybody would want to go to a place that's a harsh environment. If that's the case, then you could almost look at them like they're fallen angels. And the most notorious fallen angel would be
Lucifer,
the devil.
Yeah.
So, that's just, maybe there's something there. Red Sea Theory Part 3.
Yeah, right.
But also, and Haki too, because that concept of retro Haki, like, there's definitely be crossover in Red Sea Theory Part 3 and Understanding Haki finale.
Hey, man, shout out to Angel's Room. He said he'll finish the stream tomorrow. He's tired. So, hey, man. Yeah, I'll see you probably this Sunday for the chapter stream. So you have a good one. But yeah, go ahead. My bad. I just wanted to,
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I think from here, I might just let the rest of it play.
Okay.
And then talk about anything afterwards and wrap it up.
All right. Yeah, because I think you got, like
wings.
Minutes?
Let's call the black coating on their wings retro Haki. The physical body is now strengthened by the Haki they stored up in the past. and they can still put on a coat of spiritual armor using the energy of the present. However, even that isn't enough. They have to go further beyond. All the layers they had to protect their outside is good and all, but they still need to address their inside. Rather than just adapting to the stone of their surroundings, they also adapted to the heat. Unlike the demons, they didn't become cold on the inside. Instead, they became... Okay. I just wanted to point out, just for anybody who's confused, why it says heart of ice, just real quick. The reason it says heart of ice is I speculate that the heart is really what determines your frequency, like what you're best at in terms of Haki.
Yeah.
So I said that demons have a heart of ice. And what it means is that ice is cold. And in terms of temperature, that means on a molecular level, it's moving at a slow pace, a slow frequency. So by saying it's a heart of ice, it's really saying it's a low frequency, which the lowest frequency is Earth, which is why they're the best at root and armament. Then I say the Lunarians, well, I'm about to explain the heart of fire, but it also relates to even to Sanji and why Sanji doesn't get hurt by Diablo Jamba.
Okay, so ice would be the lowest frequency, right?
Ice, no, not the element of ice, not like in Jutsu, like Haku from Naruto. I'm talking about literally ice from a scientific perspective. The fact that temperature is the measurement of the speed of an atom, right? So ice means it's moving at a really slow pace. Now it's a solid form. You rise that frequency, you're essentially heating it up, it turns into water. You rise that frequency even more, now the atoms are moving so fast that they can even travel through the air, and now it becomes steam.
Well,
that's what I mean.
Okay, I got a better question than that. It would be, ice would be related to what chakra?
Well, that's sort of... It would be more like a combination of anything. If anything, it would be a combination of the root and the sacral.
The root and the sacral.
Because it's water, because it's more like ice, but then it's solid, which is more like earth.
Okay.
Now, if you were looking at Naruto, it would be water and wind, but Naruto's a different type of chakra. It's not like this.
The reason why I asked is because we know we connect Sanji a lot with fire or the solar plexus, right? Am I right? Like the solar plexus were the fire, or is that the yeah solar plexus? But what about Brook? Because he uses ice a lot, but we always talk about how he's more probably spiritual, more than
that.
I mean, I guess he could kind of.
You gotta remind me. I will go into that next week. That's not even really relevant to next week's video, but we will talk about Brook. So remember to ask me that next week. It's just that I don't really have the time to go into it, but I do have an answer for that.
No.
And it's kind of related to the whole demons and underworld and blah. But I just don't.
So it's more of an underworld ice and not like an actual, more like a spiritual ice.
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
Gotcha. We'll go over. I'm sure whatever led them to having to flee into the Red Sea filled their hearts with anger and hatred. With that being said, how is it that they obtained fire powers? Well, if you've been following my channel, you know that I believe fire is the third form of armament. Now you might be wondering, if the demons were superior at using armament, how is it that the Lunarians would be able to surpass their level of armament Haki? If the demons are using armament Haki inherently 24/7, surely they would be better and be using the fire level of armament Haki already. Well, the answer to that is yes and no. Yes, the demons would be better at using armament hardening. However, that means they're really only good at using that low level of armament Haki they focus all their abilities towards. You see, they're excelling in a physical ability, whereas the higher level armament Hakis are spiritual abilities. And even when the demons are concentrating their Haki on this physical ability, they are doing so unconsciously. So you can't credit their wisdom as the reason why they excel so much at this Haki. And without the wisdom, they aren't going to consciously learn how to use a higher level of armament. Without this wisdom, they wouldn't know how to change the way they use their armament Haki. This would actually be a similar concept to how the Skypeans most likely didn't know that Haki could be used in other ways other than observation. Speaking of which, observation Haki is mostly spiritual and barely has physical applications, and that would be the very reason why Lunarians would be better at using advanced armament Haki than the demons. He clearly should know there are more levels of armament Haki, yet clearly chose to focus his efforts on strengthening his armament hardening. In fact, okay, there was a little audio area. For some reason, it didn't catch. I just went right into it. I said he clearly should know, and I didn't even say what it was. But Virgo should know more Haki. I mean, he's clearly been using Haki for at least probably 2 decades. Yet he focuses on armament because that's the one he's best at. So then I go into talking about Virgo versus Sanji, like the difference between them. Virgo is someone he knows he's better at more earth-based Haki, so that's what he sticks with. And clearly, he's superior than Sanji. You know, if Virgo kicks Sanji, you know, Sanji obviously specializes in kicking, but it's just point blank. Virgo has a harder leg. He can use armament harder as an armament hardening, and he'll just outclass Sanji. But what Sanji has is his spirituality, right? His color of Haki isn't armament, it's observation. Despite that he's a physical fighter, Oda has told us that it's observation, which means he's more spiritual. So that's like over the course of the next few minutes, I just go into explaining that if he's more spiritual, it makes more sense for him to want to use the observation that is a higher frequency, aka fire. One thing I just want to mention is this concept of using Haki unknowingly, which is a thing. It's definitely a thing. Luffy's Haki's been getting stronger since the beginning of the series. Blackbeard mentioned that pre-time skip, before Luffy even knew what Haki was. Blackbeard said, "Oh, your Haki's getting stronger." So you don't have to know Haki to have Haki. In fact, you don't have to know Haki to even strengthen your Haki. It is, because if there's body of the chi of the body, then you have that energy in you.
Yeah.
So when you look at what I said about retro Haki and the Lunarians, my whole point is that I started out saying it must be exhausting to use armament 24/7 if you live in the Red Sea, the harsh environment. That's why, out of necessity, the Lunarians had to develop this concept of retro Haki, where they have Haki there that they don't have to have active all the time. They could just have it whenever they need it. They could up the layers of Haki, but it unconsciously, or not, yeah, unconsciously, not subconscious. Those are two different things. Subconscious is like when Luffy used Conquerors on that bull pre-time skip, or it was actually a bison. That's subconscious. Unconscious means you just don't knowingly have to do it. It's like when you're on autopilot. That's unconscious. Subconscious is like thoughts that you don't know you have. So unconsciously is what retro Haki is. Unconsciously, they don't need to use armament Haki. That's my whole thing. It's like the Black Blade, but it's not Black Blade. It's their body. They literally permanently infuse armament Haki into their body. So how this relates to Devil Fruits is, if Devil Fruits are retro Haki, and if the mastery of Haki, it then explains why someone like Apu could use a Conqueror's Haki ability, even if he doesn't have Conqueror's Haki, because it's the retro Haki. He now has this Haki that is just imbued in him.
Yeah.
Unconsciously. He doesn't have to know it. It just is there.
Yeah.
And then because it's unconsciously there, then he subconsciously knows it. And there is the concept of subconscious knowledge given when someone eats a devil fruit. For example, Kinemon doesn't know what devil fruits are. He thought it was like witchcraft or jutsu. And he's like, I ate this magic fruit and now I can do this jutsu and this witchcraft. Like, he didn't understand what devil fruit.
Yeah.
But he was able to call out his devil fruit by name in his ability. So he has the garb devil fruit. That's the Viz translation. So he would say things like garb no jutsu. He doesn't know the devil fruit. Yet he
Garb
knows
no
to say
jutsu.
garb garb no jutsu. So that just goes to show that if you eat a devil fruit, you do get some subconscious knowledge, even if you don't consciously know about the things.
So that makes the whole Nika devil fruit even more mysterious, because it's like, why did Luffy always call it the Gumu Gumu? You know. Um,
Well, he called it that because he literally read it in a book. Like it was in the encyclopedia. That's how he knows.
but you would
Because it's
think
in the
though, like if
encyclopedia,
he would
he
have
knows it.
but you would have think he would have instinctively knew what it the true nature of his devil fruit. You know what I'm saying?
He could subconsciously know it, but not consciously know it, right? So an example of him subconsciously maybe knowing it is the fact, when he was about to transform, it showed that sound effect that said Nika, or the fact that his gear fourth literally looks like his Nika form,
Yeah. Unless
but he made that himself.
I mean, I kind of figured maybe Nika kind of may have said gum gum a lot with all it, like
Yeah,
Nika's
that's also
attacks. You know, like
possible.
maybe Nika looked at himself as a rubber person, a rubber being.
Hmm.
Because you think about Nika, he didn't look at himself as a Nika user, because he was Nika, right? Like, so maybe he
Yeah,
just
definitely.
looked at himself as a rubber, a being made of rubber. But go ahead, I'm ready. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah. In my chakra theory, I speculate that armament correlates to the first three of the seven chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus, which are respectively earth, water, and fire. We've talked plenty about earth and fire, but what about water? The water element doesn't literally mean that the Haki master wields water, but rather their fluid aura. However, fishermen do use literal water in their techniques, and have you ever noticed how similar fisherman karate is to advanced armament Haki? Well, the fishermen live a vast amount of their time in and around water. Why do I bring this up? Well, if you look at the way King fights, he not only uses fire, but his fire can even become like magma. And just like how the fishmen have adapted to using advanced armament Haki, and therefore water, the same could be true for Lunarians and the power they gain from their environment.
Can you pause it real quick?
First off, if they did... Yeah.
I just wanted to point something out. I noticed, because I noticed when it happened, but King's attacks like are like formed as dragons. So that kind of made me think: is that more of a homage to Kaido type of thing, or maybe he was actually raised around dragons? You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of thought it was interesting to point that out.
Yeah, it was very peculiar.
Yeah.
I do think that there's something deeper to that.
Yeah. And Adam, I see your comments and everything. I'm gonna read them at the end, because Ela's kind of gotta, he ain't got that much time, so I don't want to stop for the chat every time. Sorry about that, man.
No problem.
But let's continue whenever you're ready.
Live in the Red Sea, which is surrounded by magma, then it makes perfect sense why King's own attacks use magma. Also, the two elements I propose the Lunarians mastered are the root and solar chakra, earth and fire. According to Naruto logic, if you mix fire and earth chakra together, you get lava. Makes perfect sense to me. In fact, I'm going to put on my Vegapunk lab coat and give my hypothesis explaining why King can conjure magma. Just like how I said earlier that the sacral chakra doesn't use literal water, the same is true of the solar plexus. The flame on King's back isn't actual fire, but rather his aura vibrating at a frequency that imitates fire. As a result, he can do all the same things to that flame that he can do to his aura in its regular state. If you recall when we were talking about retro Haki, I said the Lunarians learned how to turn their spiritual energy into something that is physical and tangible. This would explain why retro Haki makes a black blade heavier. If a Lunarian can make their regular aura physical, then the same can be true for their fiery aura. This explains why King gets faster when the flame on his back goes out. King strengthened his flame by applying his ability to make it tangible. Whereas Sanji upgraded his Diablo Jamba by increasing the fire granted by the solar plexus, King instead applied the hardening abilities of the root chakra to the fire of the solar plexus, hardening the fire to the point at which it becomes rock hard. Apply intense heat to rock, and you get magma. Now, King is also shown to stretch his body for some reason, but I'll go over that in part 3. Okay. So, like I said, King showed himself to stretch. Is that scientific experimentation like um, Queen?
Yeah.
Maybe. Or maybe there's a spiritual component to it. Maybe because he's a Lunarian, he is someone who's better at recreating double fruit abilities.
You don't think that could just be like a zone thing? Cause like remember Kaku, right? When he was in his giraffe form,
Yeah.
he was able to manipulate his body in unnatural ways as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's kind of what I kind of took that as. Cause like even Queen, like when he's able to eject his head out, you know, and even though that could be a technological thing, it's still unnatural. But him, it could be a little more explainable, I guess. But King and Kaku are, you know, different. But go ahead.
Yeah, it could be like life return.
Yeah.
Which I think is still even a hockey ability. But the only thing is, it just seemed like boing. It almost seemed like rubbery, like when he did that. Which life return is the manipulation of the body, but it doesn't change the property of the body. So that's the only thing about what King did. Like maybe there was more to that. Um, but anyway, the whole magma thing is just another example of what I mean when I say there could be a mixing or a combining of different colors of hockey.
Yeah.
Even two different colors of armament can be combined together, which is like to create magma is insane. You know, you Akainu can do it, but it's because he has a double fruit.
Yeah.
For a king to do something like that
He
is like,
cheated.
yeah, exactly.
and Kaido as well. His flames were pretty
Yeah,
hot.
at least with him, you can say he has a double fruit. With
Yeah.
King, it's like his fire abilities have nothing to do with his double fruit. It does have to do with him being a Lunarian. But even then, it's like, how far could his biology go to create magma? Like, this doesn't make sense. What is he secreting a chemical out of his sweat glands that create corrosive? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It seemed a lot more like almost magic in a way, or
Yeah,
you could
yeah,
say it's hockey.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I, I guess with Kaido, it could be the devil fruit as well, but I don't know. You know, because it didn't seem like wild magma or was it magma indeed, or was it just fire? Because
So, if you look at the way things are on fire, you can see like the flame on them. Right.
yeah,
In fact, in that chapter, you
yeah,
see Orochi on fire,
Orochi,
so you
yeah,
can
same
actually
chapter.
compare the two. You
Yeah,
can see what it looks like when Orochi's on fire compared to what Kaido looks like when he's enveloped
yeah.
in that
It was definitely
fire.
different.
It makes
It
it
was
look more like
definitely
magma.
different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cause Orochi was more like you see like his charred body, but then you see like the flames protruding away from his body, you know, a couple inches away from his body. But with Kaido, you don't really see the protruding flame, but you see like the charredness of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought that was kind of a dope detail that I didn't really see many people talk about, how you got two dragon like characters both caught
Mm-hmm.
on fire in the same chapter.
Yeah, and it was almost like Oda wanted us to notice like the difference. Like,
Yeah.
hey, these are not the same thing.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to say what was related between the Red Sea theory and my understanding hockey. I kind of just threw it together because I had a last minute thing, but it's still a good thing to bring up because I don't really talk about the combination of
Mm-hmm.
hockey and my understanding hockey, because talking about hockey in different colors by itself is already a new concept. So I couldn't really then make it more complicated. But when I remake my understanding hockey theory, I will be talking about the mixing because I'll actually I'm gonna make it episodic with each chapter.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could do that. You know how you like make the understanding hockey, like you'll make a video. Maybe you could break them down into parts or something. because then you could even get
Yeah,
more videos out of it instead of making like
exactly.
a 30-minute video. You could probably break down into 10 minutes each. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah, that's
each
what it's looking like for me.
like
That's
you
what
could
I'm
do
gearing up to do.
you could just do part one, or episode one, and then you could break them down to parts or something along like that. Like
Yeah,
episode
I'm about to
one,
do a whole
part one,
season.
huh?
I'm about to be Netflix.
Netflix out here, Hulu. You don't want to be Netflix though, man. Netflix been going through
No, I'm not gonna be like because Netflix releases it all at once for you to binge watch. I'm not gonna release it all at once. It's more gonna be
Nah.
week to week.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't wanna keep you. I know you gotta go, right? Because it is like
Yeah,
7:30 where you're at. So
but
yeah.
I'll be listening to the stream. So when you're reading the chats, I'll be there. And if anybody has anything to ask me, I'll be able to text it in the chat.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well,
So this is just me leaving the voice channel, but I'm still gonna be here.
yeah, I'm gonna probably wrap up in a bit though. I might stay just for a couple, another 10 minutes
All right,
possibly.
then.
But you want to add anything else? Say anything else? Tell your your
Um,
your channel is in the description box, so people y'all can go follow him through the description box.
yeah, just if you haven't, check out the Red Sea theory. Like all this stuff about potential hockey implications are cool, but I think what was even cooler was actually there's actually two videos. So the second video I talked more about the hockey. The first video I talked more about like what could the Red Sea be like, what kind of animals would be down there, why is it even a Red Sea, like why is
Mm-hmm.
it not normal. I talk about all those type of things. I go very in depth. So
Yeah.
if you haven't already, go check that out.
Alrighty. Well, I appreciate you for coming on. We'll probably have to do this in like 2 weeks because next week I will
Oh,
be.
okay.
I won't. I'll be in the process of moving, so I won't have like
I
a
got you.
setup. You know what I'm saying? So like next week I'm not dropping any streams. But yeah, so we'll have to do this in about 2 weeks or so.
All
But yeah,
right then.
man, appreciate having you on. It's always a good deal, big deal when you here. I'm always learning a lot, like a lot. This whole stream, I was just listening most of the time. I know a lot of people like, man, he just like if you just watch this stream because I don't got like a video of you. So if you just watch this stream and you just see me just sitting here, it just looks weird. Probably look weird.
Regardless, you drop gems, you make me think about things in a different way, and then I go back to the drawing board. I start adding things to my theory. So it's
Yeah,
always a great discussion.
yeah. Appreciate you coming on, man. I don't want to keep
All
you on
right, I'll
much
see you
longer.
guys.
All right, you have a good one.
Bye.
Peace. All right, y'all. Okay. So y'all see what it is. It's good. It's always good to have ELiDZ. Let me catch up on this chat real quick for you guys. I see Adam done dropped a lot of. Where do I even start? He says. Instead of back, he said. Says, what if everything combined is maybe a code that once all connected, it's a philosophy. Oh yeah, I read that part. I guess after Angel's Room, Adam says, I agree. I'm saying there has to be a preform of that. Would just function on a molecular cell level with no brain power at all. See, some of these, I might not have the best answer for you, Adam. So, maybe ELiDZ could give you a better explanation. And then he says, but totally agree with that, Retro Hockey. You come with great terms. Yeah, I do like some of the terms because I feel as though there's a lot of concepts within the like One Piece that it hasn't really been explained or there's no confirmation that some of these concepts we've been saying or talked about are actual things. But some of them do kind of some things there's some things that we see in the story that look like they're consistent enough to be a concept, right? To where you could say, well, every time we see this, it always works this way. So, I feel as though this is how it works. So, but yeah, and ELiDZ definitely does make great terms for some of the, I guess, patterns we see. Some of the concepts that we've seen from these patterns. He makes great terms, and I really like that. I never thought of calling it retro hockey, right? But that's a good name. I like it because it makes sense, right? Like and that's kind of why I think with Zoro, right? Like he cut. I think. I mean, I don't know. Like we don't really know what happened with Zoro and the snow devil fruit user. I forget her name. I can't remember her name. The one in Punk Hazard, she had the snow, and he cut her, and then she couldn't like regenerate. Monet. Yeah. Yeah, I think that might have been maybe. I like the idea of retro hockey affecting her, because he did cut her with the black blade. And another thing, right? Another thing. We know that black blades have wills, so they're almost sentient to a degree. So maybe could it have been something about the frequency of the black blade's will interrupting the frequency of Monet or something along that line? Which, I mean, we talking about frequencies in hockey and stuff, so maybe it is hockey, right? That frequency that the black blade puts out could be a sort of retro hockey. You know what I mean? But and maybe that kind of interfered in her ability to put herself back together like most Logias that we've seen. Because we know that swords are kind of sentient. They have their own wills. Swords and devil fruits, even like inanimate objects to a degree have, they have a breath or a life or whatever. But yeah, so I'm thinking maybe the black blade, like maybe that retro hockey interfered in her, it affected her pretty much. That's what I would think. But I do like that term though, right? I like that term. Adam says, and without natural body cooling, the heart overheats and dies. And ice isn't an element, it's a form. Yeah, that's true. Good point. I mean, but is it really? Is it not really an element? Because when you look at like a lot of anime or a lot of like RPG type stuff, right? And they have elements. They usually have like an ice element or a. But I get what you're saying though. It's a form of an element. It's a elemental form. Because water is an element, but ice is a form of water. And steam is a form of water as well. So yeah, I agree. And he says compound. I think ice could be viewed as a slowed evolutionary progression. Maybe even a forced slowed down like marine control. Like marine controlled? I'm not too sure. You mean mind controlled? Or I think you mean mind controlled. I'm not too sure. I will say too, it's purely mental, but its purpose is almost completely to avoid physical harm. Yeah, I kind of forget some of the things you're kind of referencing. I'm sorry. That's why I feel as though ELiDZ might understand what you're referencing better than I would. I wonder the knowing part of hockey is like the mind using a tool type relation. Luffy is told by Lucky Roo when he or right after he eats it that it's the gum gum, which we know now it's is a purpose lie. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess he did. But I think like, because supposedly when you eat a devil fruit, you pretty much know about this devil fruit that you ate, and kind of like innately, right? You know about it innately. So I would think Luffy would innately know what his devil fruit truly is, like the true form of it. But maybe the devil fruit tricks the user as well. Like maybe if it's not awakened, it tricks the user. Or again, I've said before, maybe Nika, maybe Nika had, just was like naturally had rubber abilities, right? I think it was stated that yeah, well, I think when the Gorosei was talking about Nika, they stated that. So maybe Nika used to say like call his attacks gum gum no mi or whatever. I don't know, right? I don't know. Like maybe the devil fruit just believes it's a rubber devil fruit. Like maybe that's what the devil fruit believes. Maybe Nika Nika was a rubber being. You know what I mean? So it could have been something along that line. I read that. I read that comment again. You told me I had to answer. Well, I'm gonna answer comments. That's what I do. I answer chats. I try to answer your guys' chats. Now, it might get to a point. Eventually, this channel grows to a point where it's just so many people chatting that I'm not going to be able to answer. And but that's the road we cross down the line, right down the line. ELiDZ said thank you to everyone joining the stream, and then Adam says, "Oh yeah, no worries, man. Great stream. Always fun to listen to you guys' idea. Appreciate that." And then ELiDZ answered Monet. And then Adam says, "I agree. I am using the same patterns too. Chemically, this stuff has to fit. Why did Shank's crew steal it without knowing it was special? To me, the idea that the red-haired pirates knowingly lied to Luffy about the name of the fruit has to fundamentally change how we view the whole transaction." Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Cause I would ask this. Did Shanks go did he rob that marine ship or that world government ship for the devil fruit knowing what it was, or did maybe he just know that there was a devil fruit on board that ship and he went to go get it? Because it's like, hey, devil fruits are rare things, and you gotta understand, pirates love treasures. Treasures could be rare items as well. So maybe Shanks, being the pirate, heard about this devil fruit on this world government ship that wasn't that far from him, and he just wanted the treasure, right? Like pirates do. Or is it that Shanks knew about that specific devil fruit and knew what it was, and maybe they didn't want Luffy to know? That's an interesting speculation though, for sure. I will say that. But I would kind of say I don't know if Shanks knew for sure, but I would think because we do know that devil fruits have wills. It's, at least for zone devil fruits. We don't know if it's like that. I think all devil fruits have wills, but I think zone devil fruits, them being like devil fruits of living like sentient beings, I think they, like zones, have strong wills. The other devil fruits, their wills might not be strong, but they might have a will to a degree. Kind of like swords, right? Swords have wills as well. Swords and like poneglyphs as well. So non-sentient things can still have wills, and I believe all devil fruits have wills. I believe zone fruits are just, since they come from animals or people, I believe their wills tend to be much pronounced, I guess. And we know that the Gumu Gumu no Mi, or the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, we know that it has been avoiding, pretty much it's been avoiding the world government for 800 years. So maybe it called out the Shanks. Maybe it called out the Shanks, and Shanks just followed the call. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it called out the Shanks and Shanks just followed the call and didn't really know what. Maybe Shanks knew a little bit about devil fruits to understand that, though. Maybe he knew that a devil fruit was calling out to him. I'm just kind of offering different alternatives of how that went down. So, but I don't know. I don't know. That is definitely an interesting idea. If Shanks definitely did know about that devil fruit and how it worked, and they intentionally lied to Luffy. You know what I'm saying? Is there something sinister about that, or maybe they just didn't want Luffy to know at that point? Maybe they just wanted Luffy to figure it out or something. I don't know. I don't know. Um. But yeah, good point, Adam. Good point. It does kind of change how we view that whole transaction. And ELiDZ says Shanks is sus for sure. Cube says Shanks knew for sure. It was implied. Um, and Adam said, for example, they had already heard Luffy say the same thing as Roger before he ate the fruit. The red haired kept coming back until Luffy's dream became being the Pirate King. You know something? You know something? Now I kind of think about it. Maybe after Luffy ate that devil fruit, right? Like maybe if let's say let's go with this idea that Luffy or Shanks did know about the Gumu Gumu no Mi and the secret about it, right? Let's say that maybe when Luffy ate it, Shanks was like, you know what? You know, this kid has this special devil fruit, so he probably gonna be a big deal. Maybe that's why Shanks kind of entrusted him or gave him the straw hat, because he knew with that specific devil fruit that Luffy could the sky's the limit was for him. Like let's say if he knew that let's say if he looked at it as the devil fruit choosing Luffy, you know, because he knew about the wills of these devil fruits. So maybe he looked at it as this devil fruit chose Luffy. So since it chose Luffy, he knew right there and then Luffy was special. So he he kind of gave his trust to Luffy and was like, I'm gonna give you the straw hat. Come holla at me when you become a strong pirate, you know. But yeah, Q said who said that someone took it from him, and he said Shanks was the one who got in possession. Yeah, I know that. I remember that. I remember that part. And Adam says, before that, Luffy just wanted to join the crew for fun. I agree, Cube. I think there's a bunch of stuff, but I'm not sure Shanks is in on it. Yeah, I don't know if Shanks is. I don't know if I believe that, honestly. I I don't know if I believe Shanks has sinister intentions. You know, I know like Threevil, he he called Shanks the op, I guess. So I guess he thinks Shanks is a snitch pretty much. But I don't know if I believe that about Shanks just yet. I don't know if I'm on the board with Shanks has like some evil intentions, you know. Uh I think Shanks is a man of peace. I think he likes balance, you know. You know. Um Cube says if Shanks knew, then Mihawk knowing about Luffy through Shanks does make sense. Could explain why he was interested in Luffy's crew. I mean, I think that was always kind of implied that, you know, Shanks just likes, you know, probably talks about Luffy a lot. I don't know. You know. I don't think I don't necessarily agree with that specific statement that Shanks telling Luffy about all that, or telling Mihawk about Luffy, was because he knew about the devil fruit. I don't know if I can like causation. They say what they say. What's that saying? Causation isn't correlation. You know, I don't think Shanks. I don't think Shanks told Mihawk about Luffy because of the devil fruit. You know, I don't think that's why. You know. But I don't know. I don't know. Cube says, or Adam says, maybe it came from the future. Ooh, spicy. Exactly, Cube. And Adam says the biggest trick the devil ever played was convincing them he wasn't there. Damn, y'all call it Shanks the devil? God damn. God damn. Q says, I think Shanks knew but has Luffy's best interest not using him. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know if I believe that Shanks is somebody with bad intentions, but I mean, if we come to find out it is you know, hey, that'd be a great plot twist. That'd be a great plot twist, and I will come back. I would have to come back and say that, like guys like Threeville and Cube and Adam, you guys are right about that. So I'm not committing to that speculation, but I'm not going to argue against it. I just don't know if I believe that Shanks is has some villainous intention in the series. I don't know if I believe that. But again, that's not going to be a hill that that's not a hill that I'm going to die on. That's not an argument that I'm even going to play to. I'll let you guys do that. Cube says, I think Shanks knew, but I read that one. And then Adam says, no, I do not think Shanks knew. To be clear, I think in a lot of ways Shanks is a captive. What makes you think he's a captive? Like a captive to what? Like what do you mean? Like he's a captive to fate, or a captive to destiny or fate, or he's being manipulated possibly? Is that what you're saying? Let me know. But yeah, y'all. Yes, we talked about a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff that is kind of hard to sit here and summarize or recap some of the stuff we talked about. If you guys, if you guys have questions though, you're not clear on some things. Hey, comment below. Let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with, or what you just may not understand. Now I can't say that I'm not going to say that I can specifically answer your question for you. Maybe ELiDZ could answer it though if he goes to the comments to this video later. If you guys have questions about anything hockey related, or maybe I could ask him, answer your questions. I don't know, but let me know. Let me know in the comments, right? Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of everything. Adam says we should all read chapter 1 for a stream in the future of a week with no chapter. Maybe. I'm not gonna say no. Maybe. Depends. If I really can't think of nothing to do, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, y'all. Yeah. Yeah, so shout out to ELiDZ for being part of the stream today. I really, it's always a good welcome. He's always welcome to this channel, right? This channel always welcomes him. He always brings some great input. Some well thought out concepts and speculations and everything. So it's always appreciated, right? I won't be streaming until Sunday to the chapter. I'm still still doing things, and it's I'm not doing, it's not all work either. Like I know I'm going to visit people that I probably a lot of people I know here, not a lot of people, but some of the people I know in Austin, and say some goodbyes and all that. So I don't really have that much time to stream. But we will be back here for chapter 1050. I want to say chapter 1050. So yeah, y'all. That will be happening. What? 4:00. 4:00 p.m. Central Time here, or 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the people on the East Coast. I feel as though that's like the most commonly known time. Like Eastern Standard Time, at least within the U.S. So yeah, So that's like an hour before I start the stream today, right? But yeah, y'all, that's all I really have for this video. We talked about a lot. We talked about a lot. But yeah, anyway, y'all, make sure you guys hit that like button. Hit that like button. You know, it helps. It helps stream. It helps the channel. Also, follow or subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And if you are looking for a One Piece community, we have the Discord and we have the Facebook group. So y'all make sure y'all do that. Ooh, got them smoothie burps, man. I ain't gonna lie though, I am kind of looking next week just to kind of get like that. Like, you know, the transition, even though it's gonna be a little stressful, I work out a lot, so I'm gonna kind of have a rest from that. Cause right now I'm sore, y'all. I'm sore, so that's why I'm looking for next week. Cause my body is sore, and I need a break from, working out and all that stuff. But anyway, yeah, I don't know why I felt I had to say that, y'all. It's just I was just kind of feeling my chest, and it was feeling a little tight right there. But anyway, y'all, it's your boy Sean Peter Blumph God. And I'm out of here. I'll see you guys this Sunday. Y'all have a good weekend. Y'all have a good evening tonight. And yeah, after next week, we should be getting back to the normal schedule. So yeah, anyway, y'all have a good weekend. Now I'm out of here. Peace.